This is Jilliana Ranicar-Breese, and this is part 3 of my conversation with Catherine Smith in Lewes, Sussex. Go ahead, Catherine. Tell me about what you're doing now.
Now I'm working on a novel. I'm nearly finished the first draft.
Have you been commissioned?
No, but I've been working on this idea for over 3 years, and it's been both a joy and a source of immense frustration.
Can you say anything about it? Or?
I think because I'm much more naturally a miniaturist, I'm much more at home in poems, short stories, radio, play, scripts, that kind of thing. So I'm kind of quite an end-orientated writer. When I start writing something, I'm thinking, how is this going to finish?
Have you got a title or a provisional title?
I have, but I'm kind of keeping that slightly under wraps, because that may well change.
Okay.
It's a domestic noir kind of psychological thriller. I'm really enjoying it, but every time I write a scene, I realise that I've got to go back and infill something else. So I'm making loads and loads of editing notes.
Is it based on any truth in your life?
No.
Oh.
No, it's total fiction. Total fiction. I try and keep the drama for the page and lead actually quite a quiet life.
I don't believe it. Yes. So what about the teaching that you're doing?
The teaching is great. I teach for the creative writing programme at New Writing South in Jew Street, and I teach on the 2-year certificate course for the creative writing programme. I teach the first course, which is called Approaches to Writing, and I teach the 4th course, which is at the end of the 2nd year of the course.
Is this the one with Hannah?
Hannah is one of the tutors.
Oh,
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's the writing workshops, which is where we intensively workshop work and look at how it's going and how to improve it and so forth. That's great. I teach for the Arvon Foundation.
Oh, really?
Yes, so I teach quite a few schools courses.
I haven't been there yet.
That's great.
They've got 3 schools.
They've got 3 centres. Yes.
3 centres,
yeah,
yes.
One in Devon, one in West Yorkshire, and one in Shropshire.
And which one do you go to?
I go to all 3, depending on
I must
where
talk
they
to you
ask
about that.
Yeah. Wherever they ask me to go.
Right.
I generally say yes.
Yes.
So I usually work with schools groups or groups of disadvantaged young people or care leavers. But I also work with adult groups as well. Usually with poetry, but sometimes with prose fiction.
Right.
So that's good. And I teach for the poetry school as well in London. But I'm not teaching for them this term.
Where are they?
They're in Lambeth Walk.
Okay. Yes, I've heard of it, yes. And what about the Poetry Cafe?
That's the Poetry Cafe is attached to the Poetry Society.
That's different.
Yeah. That's the Poetry Society is a kind of organisation of, if there is such a thing, an organisation of poets. That might be a bit of an oxymoron.
Yeah.
But they publish Poetry Review, and they have a cafe where there are a lot of poetry readings and so forth.
Yes. What about Ireland? Ireland's a country full of poets.
It is. I've been very fortunate. I've been asked to perform in Cork and Limerick, and that's been great. That was lovely. People in Ireland are so kind and lovely to poets. They want to take you to the pub afterwards. They want to talk to you. They never let
Guinness.
They never let you buy a drink. They're genuinely appreciative. Everybody's writing. Everybody's into it. It's lovely. It's a very, very good place to be a creative person, I think, both in the north of Ireland and the Republic of Ireland.
Yeah. Did you go this year?
No, haven't been this year.
Yeah. The only thing wrong with Ireland is the weather. That's why it's so green. Yeah. And so you're working on a novel, and what other future projects do you have?
Oh, lots. I want to write more short stories. I've got quite a few short stories that I've started or I've made notes for. I've got several other ideas for other novels, but it's always a question of time. And
of course, the Americans specialise in short stories, don't they?
They do, yes, much more
like
so.
Raymond Carver and I don't know some of the other names, but yes, short stories. Do they sell in England?
Not really.
No.
No. bit like poetry. It's more of a kind of Cinderella genre. But I think I think as a writer, you have to make peace with, what it is you like writing, whether it sells or not, really. Otherwise, what's the point? If you're only writing for the market, then you're not being true to yourself. So I wouldn't want to do that.
Have you been to America?
No.
No. Are you in touch with Americans? American writers, I mean.
No, not really.
No. No. Yeah.
But I think there's a good market for short stories in America.
Yes, definitely.
But I think, there are a lot of very good American short story writers. A lot of people who write novels are also writing short fiction in America. So I think they have a more enlightened view of short stories.
I think they teach writing more at university than we do.
Yeah, possibly. Although there are a lot of creative writing degrees now.
Yes.
Some would say too many.
Yes, East Anglia and places like that.
Well, East Anglia is one, but there's loads and loads.
Yeah,
in the
but there
UK
wasn't
now.
10 years ago. I think they've come up now.
I think in the last 10 years, certainly, I think 20, 30 years ago, there was only really UEA, and now there are courses at Chichester, both the Birminghams, Liverpool, all over the place, Northampton, Sussex, Brighton. There will be courses all over the place. So, yeah, that's fine. People should do what they want to do and find the course that works for
So
them.
what advice would you give young writers or even older writers? What advice, coming from you as a professional, what would you advise people?
Write about what you care about. Genuinely care about. Don't worry about what anybody else is writing about, because that's what they care about. Take absolutely no notice of what is currently fashionable, because by the time your stuff is published, that will have changed anyway. Write what you genuinely care about and are passionate about. Write about what obsesses you. Write about what keeps you awake at night. Write about
what you know.
Well, no, actually, write about what you can imagine. Write about what you know if you want to, but write about what puzzles you. Research, find out, but write about what it is that absolutely fascinates you. Don't try and write for a particular reader or a particular market. Write for yourself initially. Write to delight yourself, and worry about the market afterwards. And do it a lot. Put the hours in. Turn up. I think.
And do as many workshops as you can.
Well, do workshops if workshops suit you. Not everyone likes workshops. Some people feel very shy in workshops. Some people feel that workshops are too prescriptive. I would definitely say try and have some writing mates who you can get together with.
Yeah, not so easy.
Not so easy.
Because writing is so solitary.
Writing solitary, but with the internet, there are ways of finding other people out there who are doing.
Are there any
interesting.
particular websites you can recommend?
Not necessarily websites, but if you just put into Google, writing poetry in Sussex or something like that, groups will pop up, and they die down and spring up all the time. So keep your ear to the ground. But the main thing is to turn up and do it. I think turn up and do it, and write about what passionately interests you, and commit to it as well. It's so easy to wake up and think, oh, there's so many other things I should be doing today. But, you can't write after you're dead. Once you're dead, that's it. You run out of excuses.
Not everyone would agree with you there, Catherine. I think on that note, we'll end.
We'll end it there.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Catherine
you
Smith.
very much.
All right, bye.